Thank you, I declare this meeting of Wanchai Council, the last one of this term of Wanchai Council, open. Calling for apologies. We have an apology from Councillor Brewer. Are there any further apologies? Looking on the table, everyone else is here or via Zoom. Thank you, Councillor Walker, for attending via Zoom. I know it's difficult circumstances for you. Someone have to move the apology. Councillor Brewer, please. Councillor Drews, Councillor Sertifi. We'll put that all those in favour. Against Gary. Moving on to the minutes of the last meeting held on the 28th of October, last ordinary meeting of this council. Someone have to move that those minutes and we'll make the record of that meeting. Councillor Sertifi's moved, Councillor Higgins second. Councillor Sertifi. Anything further on those minutes? Being nothing, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to the disclosures of interest. Any councillors who wish to disclose an interest, they hopefully fill out the appropriate form and given it to the Manager of Finance Administration or the Executive Assistant. There's two councillors who have done that. Thank you. We need to just note in which matters do they relate.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for myself, item 3 on works progress reports, the financial administration projects under the reporting division manager of finance.
And Councillor Irving?
Yeah, mine is from the minutes of the Sporting Facilities Committee meeting, item 5, community feedback, Carter Over Youth Sports Precinct. And that's the other one is item 2 of the works progress reports of the health and development services. It's a pecuniary entry. That one? No. That one's pecuniary. The other one's not pecuniary. Yeah.
Any further disclosures of interest need to be noted before we proceed? We only need to note those. Moving on to item 5, and it is a mayoral minute. This marks our last council meeting for this term of council after 5 years and 3 months. We eventually really coming to a meeting, and we've gone from a drought to a flood in the space of a couple of years towards the end of the second half of that term. So it's been an interesting time, no matter what. Look, what I wanted to say is actually in the business paper, but I just did want to say a few things. We started with Ashley Wallinga, the well-regarded Ashley, as our general manager. He finished his time with us, and we paid him farewell, recognising what his big contribution he's made. We welcomed Glenn Wilcox for 3 years, and Glenn, in many ways, I think, helped us with the policy and procedure part of our organisation that perhaps we weren't as good at as we might have been, and particularly had an interest in developing with the master plan. I think they helped us in really good stead as we move forward, and we've seen that those come to fruition in a very large way. We had Stephen Glenn for a short time as the interim general manager, and then of course we welcomed Gary Woodman for the last, how long now, Gary? 6 plus 8 months? 9 months. 9 months. Yeah. So we have seen a couple of general managers in this term of council, but look, I believe they've all contributed significantly to the betterment of this place in one way or another. Everyone has a different skill set, and I think we've actually, as a council, been able to get the best out of the skill set that those general managers have brought to the table, and we look forward to Gary continuing or renewing his acquaintanceship with Wanchai Council after being Manager of Engineering Services here. So, and I believe Gary has kicked some goals in his short time here already, so we're pleased to have him back, of course. The other thing I would say is that I valued the input of Rolly as our Manager of Engineering Services, and now Raymond stepping into the role on an interim basis. and Mary Ann is Manager of Health and Development. Thank you for your contributions at meetings, both of you, and principal discussion and pointing us in the right direction in terms of legislative and operational sense. I do reserve a special thanks to Darren Arthur and his team in Finance Administration. The strength of the organisation, in my view, centres around a strong financial basis, and Darren and his oversight of that part of the organisation is absolutely exemplary. I think it's borne out by the auditors when they come through, and the fact that Brett and I have been witness to any number of times when we'll ask Darren what did that cost, and he'll say down to the dollar what it was, and his attention to detail is extraordinary in the finance capacity, and I thank him very much and his team, if you wouldn't mind passing that on, because it's been fantastic. The other person I reserve a special thanks to is the executive assistant to the Mayor and the General Manager, Jodie Burtonshaw. Always has a smile on her face. I don't know how she's coping with the workload that the fellow on my left is now giving her, but she is always pleased to see me anyway. And I thank her for all her support and all the things that she does without ever begrudging anything. And it's really so gratifying to walk in and Jodie's there, and you know it's all under control. Your expertise and ability doesn't go unnoticed, Jodie. Thank you for that. I would like to also reflect on this term of council in terms of the projects that we've seen, and I did write the ones that came to mind very quickly in a minute. If we were to look back at the start of our 5-year term and said these are the things that are going to happen in Warren, I don't think there would have been many takers saying that these things would have occurred. And it's testament to a lot of the work that Glenn did with the master plans, but also to Kerry Jones and his team, Alison Ruskin Rowe, infrastructure projects, obtaining grants, and then seeing these projects come through to fruition. There are some big projects out there: the airport, the new sewage treatment plant, it's all but commissioned. The Showground Racecourse was very significant covered equestrian arena, and all those 9 user groups benefiting from Mark Beach's ability to navigate his way through that diverse group and get some really good things happening at the Showground Racecourse. Well done, Mark. But there's just Macquarie Park, the walkway around to the Victoria Oval and Clara House, the storage sheds around Victoria, the netball courts, basketball court around there, the solar lighting on that walkway. There's the other big ones, of course, are there's any number I keep in mind. The One Bobby Bridge, to get that completed, that was a bit of a headache for a time, but it got completed, and it's a magnificent structure that will serve those people well. The cross connection of our water supplies to ball fields, and then being able to put ball water into our river water system to overcome firefighting. They're all big projects, and I think our community is much the better for those projects having occurred, and I'm really grateful to all the staff who made that happen, and to councillors for actually having the good sense and the planning ability to see that these are all worthwhile projects and that it's something that we should be done for our town and our community. We're just getting to the stage now we're starting to get roads under control again. We went through that dry period where we just couldn't do anything. Now I believe, making significant headway in the road area, and we see the Old Warren Road. Raymond was saying earlier that it's been sealed today, this next section. See the Ellinger Road completed, road sealed to our Shire boundary, which made good sense. I think there's just some really, really good strategic things happening in the road space as well. The other thing I'd really like to say is that thanks to the retiring councillors, and I mentioned Rex, even though he's not here and has resigned. He was a selfless servant, really, of Warren Shire Council, and 35 years on council, 30 of those as mayor. I know we recognised him previously, but I think it's remiss that I don't mention him during this term. As we conclude this term of council, he was he was a pillar of the Warren community and Warren Council for so many years, and just extraordinary in his capacity to put time into Warren Shire Council. And I hope he's actually listening to this to understand that. I also want to pay tribute to retiring councillors, and Councillor Irving, thank you so much for your commitment to Warren Shire Council, and particularly your determination to see things done properly, particularly in their policy and procedure, and your other passion for mining and energy-related councils, and there's the development zone, renewable energy zone. I think you've served us well, and I wish you well in pursuing those things, but also your new role at the Central School. I know it's time consuming. I know you'll do such an excellent job that our community will benefit there and bring your expertise. And thank you so much for your time on committees that I've been involved into, particularly sporting facilities. I think that committee's achieved some wonderful things as well. So thank you so much for that. And I wonder if other councillors might just join me in thanking Councillor Irving. The other councillor retiring who's in the room is Councillor Williamson. I don't know what to say. Brett and I had a great relationship, and when after we were elected as mayor and deputy mayor, we did sit down and say, really, what can we do to make this place better? And we thought there were any number of things, but there were two things that we really felt would make a difference, and those were having our Wednesday afternoon meetings with the senior management team, and Brett and I having the mayor and the deputy mayor there, I think was fortuitous. We don't think the same way on various things, and Brett has better insight on lots of things than I do. And I think the benefit of us both being there was extraordinary, and I think we then had a fair handle on what was happening on a weekly basis at council, and hope that we were able to convey that to councillors by just having a background on all sorts of projects, etc., that were happening, all the little things that were happening that necessarily didn't come to a council meeting. And I think that we were well served in having those meetings, and that will, I hope, continue to happen in the next council. The other thing I would say is Brett and I were a little bit concerned about the council committees not actually probably getting the results and being as fastidious as they might have been, and pushing through and researching them and getting the result to council. I believe now the council committees are extremely valuable, and I alluded to the Showground Racecourse committee meetings. I think that has just been such a wonderful result from those councillors involved in that, and headed up by Councillor Beach, Councillor Bruce, Councillor Higgins. I think that to get those 9 equestrian groups to agree to do things, and those user groups, the show of course, society, but I think it's a magnificent facility, that one out there, and we continue to make it better. And I think that was a hallmark of the way this council has developed. I think is the use of those committees. I think the Sporting Facilities Committee has been another one that's really stood up. The Mural Committee, the Public Arts Committee, it's something newer, but I think we're just getting somewhere with all those committees. There's some good feedback. Councillors are conscientious, they make good decisions, they come to council with a recommendation. My belief is that we've been well served by those committees. In closing, Brett, thank you very much for your diligence, determination, insight, support. It's very much valued. And besides that, thank you all other councillors. I believe again that your diligence in every committee and everything you do, and working for this community in an unselfish way, without any regard for your own particular view on things. When we come to a consensus, everyone just hops in and says, let's get it done. There's no party politics. There's none of those things that haunt the bigger councils. And my belief is that we should be very proud as we look back on what was achieved, and regard this term of council as being extremely successful, and wish the new councillors every success in carrying these things forward. Thank you.
only need to move your report.
I'm very happy to move that, if I can have a second.
No, you
I don't need a second, do I? I don't. That's how we'll do there, minutes. Moving on to item 6 on our agenda, the reports for committees. The first of those being the meeting for the One Local Emergency Management Committee, held Tuesday the 9th of November. I'm happy to move that. Councillor Derrick, second. Councillor Williamson, Councillor Derrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to move the report, but I guess just a comment. It's interesting to see the assessment behind the scenes. I guess as an outsider, someone was certainly very well run COVID clinic. As I mentioned before, councils into setting up and running things on these days. So yeah, I think it's from an outside perspective, we certainly weren't aware of any of those issues that were raised in this meeting. Thank you.
Some questions on? Okay.
There's a recommendation. Sorry about that. What you've moved, Councillor, is not just to there's a recommendation that action be taken in regard to New South Wales Health being made aware of their responsibilities when the lead agency under the consequent management guides. Just what that's really about is that the COVID stuff is New South Wales Health, Western Health, Warren Multi-Purpose Health Service, in that cascading order, but really, and what's really been discovered in a lot of levels at the COVID things is that they're not used to actually SES, New South Wales Fire Brigade, Fire and Rescue, the Rural Fire Service, they're combat agencies, and they know, it's happening in the poor old New South Wales Health is still learning how to be the combat agency in something like COVID. And that's why, for example, there might be a small amount of trouble getting some reimbursement of our COVID costs, and we're just trying to make sure of it. So there's an addition to that, which is that action be taken. The recommendation, which is item 9 in council. Yeah.
So who moved that? Councillor Derrick and Councillor Williamson, you happen to move that recommendation that says that action be taken in regard to New South Wales Health being made aware of their responsibilities when the lead agency under the consequence management guide occurs. You happy to say, Councillor Derrick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that was in
A little question. I just in the RFS one, Warren a new station, fire station. Is this a reno or is it a? Do you know much about it?
Moving out to the block of land where Macquarie Cusserell County Council is out of the airport.
Is that definitely occurring?
There was $30,000 in, I'll call it last year's budget for preparation, project management, and somewhere between $750 and slightly under $1 million for the finalisation of it. Might be approved by about end of December 2021, ready for something to happen next year.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Pastoral Macquarie County Council is fully aware, organised, they're actually going eventually to a container at our depot.
Thank you.
Any further concerns, Councillor Williamson?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I just maybe come to my attention that Les Fowler is leaving Warren, and I thought, I think he has been a member of this committee for quite a number of years, and just thought it'd be nice to acknowledge his service to emergency services.
Yes. No, thank you, Councillor. Any further on the first of the reports for committees for the Local Emergency Management Committee? So we're happy to move that recommendation. Is there on the screen, and that additionally that Mr. Les Fowler's contribution is appreciated by the community and that committee. Any further before we put that? Hearing nothing further, put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to the second of our committee meetings, that being the Town Improvement Committee meeting, with Councillor Taylor, second Councillor Pearce, Councillor Taylor.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move the recommendation. At the meeting, the Manager of Engineering Services, Rowley, gave a quite extensive report to us on various aspects, and also there was a chap there, I forget his name, Tony, I think it might have been, from Ardell Payne, and they've got some pretty, a lot of drawings, a lot of proposals that needs to go on, or that is supposed to go on. They include town centre upgrade, town bypass, and provisions for caravans and camper vans, parking, etc. is in that scope of works, and also additional walking tracks. Mr. Mayor, I think this, I know our general manager had a deadline for it, but I really think that this needs to be taken once we ratify a plan to a workshop for council, because I think we made a lot of mistakes last time. I think we need to really go through it properly and get it done before we put it out there for community consultation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Again, we've got a recommendation here.
Just
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was, we were supposed to come back, but obviously Manager of Engineering Services is crook.
We're just collecting all the information from each of the committee members and then passing it on to the consultants to do the...
Do some more stuff, yeah.
Oh, and good idea. In the new year, new set of, and to really make sure dot I's across the T's.
Really do it and do it right, then put it out for community consultation. And then hopefully they'll come up with some other stuff that we'll just
Exactly. Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any further comments, questions regarding the Town Improvement Committee meeting? I do believe this is something we just need to keep progressing and consulting with the community with, and get the best outcome we possibly can. Thank you. There being nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to the third report, that will be Sporting Facilities Committee held on the 17th of November.
Yeah.
Is someone...
Very complicated recommendation. It's a very long one because the table has purposely been incorporated into the recommendation.
But Councillor Taylor, you have to...
I'll have a crack at moving
it. Councillor Taylor, second. Councillor Irving, Councillor Taylor.
I thought it was a very good meeting. We went through all that community feedback step by step. I think the best thing that came out of that was that the kiosk building, I guess, it was in the wrong spot. I think by moving that kiosk back into a different position solved a hell of a lot of these complaints or feedback from these people. So we've gone through, and I'm pretty damn sure that we've sort of satisfied all those people's complaints, and that's the thing that stood out for me.
I concur entirely with your view, Councillor Taylor. It's so much better to change something on a plan once you envisage how things will work, and I think Councillor Williamson, just with his input into this, the original siting of that kiosk change room area was on the western side, for want of a better term, with the view that there would be a grandstand there, and that hasn't actually come to fruition. So it makes really good sense to site it at the end of Brighton Hart Way, and so it caters for just about every eventuality there. Middle of the thing. And it also frees up a space on the far side, the western side, for javelin and shot put, etc., marshalling area. It does away with the problem in terms of nuclear access and getting supplies to the kiosk. It made, in terms of making a sensible plan, I think that achieved a lot of outcomes, as Councillor Taylor might be correctly saying. So, yeah, all those objections, we still, I don't know how far it's actually got. We have to talk with Little Athletics about how they view the marshalling area. And, no, that's yeah.
Look at that, a good discussion.
Yeah.
Very first one, if you remember, if possible, we were going to talk to the Little Athletics president and her executive, and that has not been possible in the last week or so. But infrastructure project manager and myself will have a good discussion with them to show that we're following standards and providing a good marshalling area and a lit area.
I think all the feedback we've made,
And of course, we've been funded the kiosk amenities fund. And the infrastructure project manager, one of the many jobs he's doing is probably putting his best together.
Councillor Irving, sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just on the Little Athletics, thank the General Manager and the Mayor for suggesting that conversation to be held with that club, because I have heard some angst there in terms of the consultation process early on, and so to just build that trust with that club, I think is really important, and I think they'll appreciate the effort in that regard. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Irving. Anything further on the minister?
Just the car parking cricket matches that you perceive to be quite limited there, or are you going to open up around that western side?
It was more that this become pretty much a pedestrian-only area, given the conflicts of vehicles and skate park and splash park and the athletics, and you'll see the same view taken on dogs off leash, etc. That same view was taken there. But, you know, it is what it is. It's a sporting facility area. Vehicular traffic will get to the end of the hardway, and that's it. Won't be parking around the yard.
Just to remember that, Councillor Beach, we did move, because that was one of the things with the bus parking, we did move the bus parking, which I think was set right in front of the pool, or just about further south, I guess, for a word. So it's back the other side, which gives a lot more car parking spaces there in front of the pool. So not just a great deal of buses, it's needed. So again, we took the community consultation, picked up a card and tried to fix it. Go with everything in place.
Very valuable feedback.
Very excellent. We've also, for the cricket, there's going to be seating around the oval as well, in areas as well. So that's going to make up for if someone's parked their car, they go and sit and watch them.
Yeah, and to that, there is a particularly to be a pathway, so there's some things actually relatively accessible. So it will be such that it's disabled.
And all those beautiful trees are up and going, they'll be in shade.
Exactly. That's the intention, Councillor Beach, absolutely.
If anyone has any angst about the cost that's already been spent too, I think that should be mentioned. Put across there by bringing the kiosk or amenities facility back this side, we do away with an ambulance toilet that was proposed for that area, so you don't duplicate, so savings on that make up for the other end, and also you don't need a stronger path around the other side where it was proposed to be, that was the access for vehicles to take it to the amenities, so that doesn't have to, so there's a cost saving there.
Yeah. Probably, at very worst case, Councillor Dado, I think if we're going to be cost neutral on those changes, probably be a cost positive.
The cost positive,
yeah. So I think it's really it's a good result in my view for that precinct. Anything else on the Minister of Sporting Facilities meeting?
Plan management, Victoria, Oval and Oxley Park. main finalisation and that.
Yeah. Well, council note that what the gentleman is just saying there, that the plan of management in Victoria and Oxford Park goes back to the minister now for that plan of management. So any further on the Municipal Sporting Facilities Committee meeting? If nothing further, put that all those in favour, against carried. We know the meeting of the Public Arts Committee, 22nd November, moved by Councillor Certainty, second, Councillor Bruce. Councillor Certainty.
Yes, we had a very good meeting on the day. We went through all of the feedback we received from both the Nevertar and also the Warren public days that we had been provided information for us. So what we've done is we've gone through the list with the recommendations to the council that we have in there now. The first one being the theme of the mural for the Nevertar water tower. As you look at the tower, you sort of take my place as a reference. The shearer would be facing that, so you can see it from the top, and then the other two are going either side. Since we've had the meeting, I've put a bit of general feedback around town, asking them, are we on the right track? And everybody that I've spoken to so far has said, yeah, it sounds like what we're thinking is what they would like to see. The other thing that we went through was the list of all of the murals in the buildings and what have you that people have put in for to be painted. So we've prioritised them. We've put them down, I think it's about 8 or so at the moment. And we've managed to make sure there isn't funding for all of these, just be aware of that, but they are on the list for when funding becomes available. We know where we're going to start looking to which ones we're going to start doing. There's a wee bit of money in the public arts and private property one, so, but it won't go far being the amount of money that it is. So what we've done is we've made sure that we haven't forgotten either the village of Colley or Nevertar. There's a fair few of those suggestions going to be on buildings in Warren, but there's a couple in Nevertar and there's also one at the tennis courts area over at Colley. So apart from all of that, I think we're on a pretty good track. We'll find out today what happens when we have the mural unveiling down in Staffordshire Street. The feedback that I've been sort of hearing in relation to that one just seems to be positive, more positive now. There was a couple of comments made about had we finished to paint the top of the building because it's not the mural all the way around, but I have been telling people that the reason that's the way it is that we didn't want to lose the old look of the tower by really closing it all in, so we've kept that authenticity of the tower itself and just put the murals in place. I think the chap who did the job Bastian has done an absolutely wonderful job. And I am happy to say that as you drive into Nevertar, if you're in the right spot, you can actually see the tower. So it is there. It will catch people's eye no matter where they're coming from. So apart from that, we are not just
Thank you, Councillor Certainty. Comments, questions regarding the Public Arts Committee meeting?
I'd just like to say congratulations to the committee. I think that tower is absolutely amazing and I'm really looking forward to seeing Nevertar happen. You too!
Thank you, Councillor Bruce.
Sorry?
Thank you, Councillor Bruce. Yes, parochial, which is a good thing. Any further comments, questions regarding the Public Arts Committee meeting? Councillor Charles.
Oh, apologies, trying to say.
Let's get it, Councillor Walker. Sorry, is there something, Councillor Walker, do you have a question? No. No, okay.
No.
Councillor Taylor just wants to make sure you're paying attention, Councillor Walker.
I'm seeing my eyes closed.
We didn't say that. Any comments, questions regarding the Public Arts Committee meeting?
And Mr. Mayor, I think we're almost on the trial. Almost approved, to be honest.
It is on the trial.
Already.
Okay. Very good. Councillor.
I can see see that, so I missed the last couple of meetings, unfortunately, but yeah, I just was encouraged to see I guess the ideas coming forward reflect a bit of diversity within our community. You know, move forward in that way, continue to reflect, I guess, the different diverse groups in our community. That'd be great. And I thank you, Councillor Servidy, for persevering, with that transitional period between artists and consultation, no consultation, all those challenges. Yeah.
Any further comments, questions regarding the public arts committee meeting? Being a case for put that, all those in favour? Yes, carried. Moving on to, excuse me, the minutes of the Mannix meeting, committee held on the 23rd of November. Someone happy to move those minutes? Sorry, Councillor, did I see your hand up?
Yeah.
You did, thank you. And Councillor Higgins, Councillor Servidy.
Yeah, no, just, I don't think I've put any comments in there that I have a query on, so I'm just flicking through, but yeah. It's always nice to see that everything is voluntarily discussed in those minutes, so thank you.
Any further comments, questions regarding the Mannix committee meeting minutes? Councillor Erling.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just like to commend the General Manager on, I guess, being proactive and attending that webinar. I guess it was in relation to integrated planning and reporting. So, with obviously there's a few changes or a few things that Council needs to consider in the future with the new council, and especially in relation to our community engagement strategy. I think council should be proud that we have one now in place, and that fits in with the legislative requirements. So, and I have a question for the General Manager about the support programs in relation to COVID. Do council determine that, or do the councillors determine that, or is that just something that management determines? Yeah.
It's time that there's not very much chance of it. We're actually supposed to have finished everything by the 31st of December. What's happened is there's been Darren dollars, about $52,000 that's been spent. That includes about 10 or 11,000 setting up all the COVID stuff for that. That little bit we're going to try to get New South Wales Health paying for. Gives us about 40 to 41,000 straight away. We get reimbursed out of the 90,000. And between the 6 or 7, between the management executive team, we're trying to come up with lots of different ideas, but also using what other councils are doing in the same way to make sure we get kind of approved by OLG. And some micro grants to community organisations that are kind of COVID related. So we've started to feelers out for a few things. And one that probably will relate to the senior management team will make a decision on the next week or so. For tourism business related, to try to get people to come out to Warren in the new year, and that'll be some sort of tourist. Let's visit the proper country and have a look at the masters as well. Things like that, and 90,000 doesn't go very far.
Thank you, General Manager.
Question I have. Will we receive anything back from PEC regarding the last flood damage?
Only just trying to correct. Nothing yet. Funny thing there.
we were asking for that to come back before it's.
Oh, no, the main thing is I want to make sure that the costing is right on the main things. The reimbursement of our restoration works can't help being exact. Yes. But we don't want to miss any dollars in any application because we've accidentally, for example, estimated wrong of a haulage distance or something like that.
Yeah. Yes, last thing we need is an overrun.
Or just not being able to do the
Well,
job.
properly, yes. Anything further on the news of the managed committee meeting? And further, with that, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to reports of delegates, the first of those is in relation to the Central West Regional Reference Group. Someone have to move those. Councillor Irving, second. Councillor Derek, sorry. Councillor Irving.
Well, I'm happy to move the minutes, and thank you very much, General Manager, for attending on our behalf and persevering, I guess, at putting our face forward for future renewable energy investment in our Shire. I think by persevering, you might see some results, hopefully. But, yeah, General Manager, you might like to add about what happened at the meeting.
If we don't get anywhere with our energy zone, let's hope we get somewhere where that very large power line going through Nevertire and out further west can get upgraded. And then we might actually get something that might extend out. And we're getting some support from mining and Girardeau councils on the same boat. So watch the space. You never know, in the future there might be an eventual amendment. It has been adopted, I think, to my government by the minister.
Any further on the minutes of the meeting for renewable energy zone?
I did, I had an iPad issue and I had notes on my document, so I haven't, but I just remembered that, yeah. I'd just like to point out that there are councils that do not want this investment in their Shire and they're having trouble getting them to attend these meetings. So, yeah, it's of concern to me that state government might not be listening to people on the ground, the farmers in those shires in particular, I guess, because it's more intensive agriculture there. So, yeah, let's hope that the government does listen to the people down the track in relation to what they would like in their communities and what they don't want.
Thank you, Councillor Irving. Any further comments, Christian, regarding the minutes of the renewable energy zone meeting? Being nothing further, put that all those in favour? Against? Carried.
Mr Mayor, would you mind considering please item 2 and item 3 being moved together?
Yes, absolutely. Happy to do that. Someone happy to move those, item 2 and 3 regarding the country mayors in the ordinary meeting and in annual general meeting. Councillor Derrick's moved that, second to Councillor Beach. Councillor Derrick.
Happy to move those. Yeah, thank you.
Gentlemen, if there's anything that sticks out in your mind regarding on that country mayors meeting, would you tell them?
Yes. The main thing, of course, is the presentation. There were 2 major presentations, but one by the officer who's responsible for, I'm out of my head, but very, very interesting one from the, trying to find it. Yeah. So the Chief Regulatory Officer, Natural Resources Access Regulator, every council is most interested in what he had to say. And what's really saying, we're hoping that that organisation is actually going to be more positive about saying that most people are actually doing the right thing, not the wrong thing, in regard to following their licence conditions and
I think that's a point that Councillor Lewis and Councillor Beach and I made when we were speaking to the fellow after the last council meeting, based in Narrabeen regarding natural resource access regulator. He's an on the ground fellow, and we stressed the point that really it's so important to say that most people are doing the right thing instead of just highlighting that there's one or two odd cowboys, as there are in every industry, who do the wrong thing. And we as a community get bashed on because someone's done the wrong thing when the majority are doing the right thing, and we just need to overcome that perception and that media hype that gets the bad news story and drives it hard when everyone really, the vast majority of people are doing the right thing. Anything further out of the general meeting and the annual general meeting of the Country Mayors Association?
Milton, through you, Mr. Mayor.
Katrina, yes. Councillor Walker?
I was just,
yes.
Yes, I was just going to ask the question if there's a piece there by someone was talking about the public safety network for frontline responders. I'm just wondering what is the coverage in the Warren Shire, or are they going to be a part of this money that's going to be spent to expand and make it better?
It's very complicated. It's $1.4 billion really for all those typical emergency services to actually have their own, may as well say, digital data and telephone system. And let's hope for the future that everyone else can also piggyback the same thing.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. Anything further on the meeting of the Country Mayors Association, the general meeting and the annual general meeting? Nothing further to put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. There are no policies to be considered. Moving on to the report to the General Manager. The first of those, the outstanding reports checklist. Someone happy to move those? Councillor Taylor, second Councillor Sergi. Councillor Taylor.
Mayor, just bring it up all the time, I guess, the Warren Levy rehabilitation. I'm just wondering where we're at with the funding side of it. Has there been any update?
There is extra update because of the situation we've got at the moment. We've got our $80,000 emergency plan work funded by the state government through the Treasury. However, I've been advised that the Deputy Premier's office is now progressing positively our $6 million application for the proper job, the full job. We are also getting lots and lots of queries and information on a number of both Commonwealth and state grant application programs that are applicable as well. Further ones that we are supposedly, both Resilience New South Wales and DPIE are going to help us.
You have to say something that Resilience New South Wales is very helpful with that emergency funding. The idea that they can come back within less than 24 hours to offer some funding is really well received, of course, by us collectively. I think there may be a recognition that we, as Warren Shire Council, have done the right thing. We've made applications, but this is a joint federal and state the flood mitigation grant opportunity we've been submitted to, and some of our applications didn't quite progress the way it should from state to federal, and maybe this is a half admission that, hang on, we should have got this right. So we feel, I think Councillor Taylor I think we're in a bit better position now than, you know, I hope this flood doesn't cause any great damage, and I don't believe it will to our levy, but it's brought it to the top of the mind of politicians, and I think as a result, we've got some traction now to get this done quickly.
Yeah, you'll be keeping our bottom we in the same conversation. That's going forward, that's probably that's important. So.
At the moment, Council Beach, we're really concentrating on the levy. You know, when we talk about the bottom year, I think we started to go to some pretty big numbers, and we help some grant funding to do scope some works within the reassessments for that bottom year. So I've just forgotten which grant that was.
1.8 million for
the rivers. Yeah, so the reason for Fishway and all those sort of things, and do that properly in Council Beach. So that, and I think that's where it fits in that space, and I hope we'll continue to pursue that one, at least to get the planning stage of it done, and then move forward after that. But to answer your question, no, they're completely separate matters. Yeah. Councillor Cruz.
Item 2, just with the inaugural meeting of the Alliance of Western Councils.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah. What came out of that one?
Yeah, look, there was a general consensus that the Western Councils, being comprised of 4 local councils, form an alliance. The upshot of the meeting was that the general managers get together and form some, consider some sort of memorandum of understanding based loosely on the old OROC memorandum of understanding, and to come back when they've been completed to new councils so that they can consider how that might work. I think it was very pleasing to see Dubbo at the table in the term in that Murray was their executive officer or general manager, chief executive officer, the way they named him. He was there, and for the first time for a few years, very supportive, I think, of the concept in terms of the Dubbo wasn't part of the Iran and JO. But this I think he says, in his view, that's the way for his elected members to be positive on the concept as well. But his view, I think, was that very much that it's a very positive thing to do. So, I believe there is a way forward, Councillor Richard, this one will be valuable in terms of presenting a united front for the north and west of New South Wales and Dubbo and noting that Coonabarra in the part of it, Wollongong, and Western and Mudgee are part of it too, so it's quite a big slope of the state. And, yeah, well, there is a thought that some of the Western councils, like Central Darwin, invited, but it's going to be an evolving situation, but yeah, it's probably. Anything else, Gary, about how that one?
Item 1. Start with item 2.
Is that item?
I did jump.
Sorry, Councillor Bruce was trying to confuse us.
I know, I jumped. We do that.
I thought it must have been in the outstanding. Apologies.
Sorry.
We'll just go back to item 1 on the outstanding reports checklist. There are a number of items there, asterisk. We're happy to see that those have been covered off and so they're removed from the list. Sorry, to move on the second one. Yep, Councillor Carr and Councillor Derek. In the case, we'll put that. Oh, sorry, Councillor, have you got something to say?
I just want to make a comment on thank council, I guess. I know that the curbs and guttering in Orchard Street and Johns Avenue have been noticed by the residents in that part of community as being needed. So thank you for responding to that need. On their behalf, I thank you.
Thank you. Anything further on item 1? Yes, the General Manager's report, yes, outstanding reports checklist. If nothing further, we'll put item 1 of the General Manager's report. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Councillor Truce, I think you must be very keen. I think you're keen to move item 2 of the General Manager's report.
I am.
She wants to expand.
And
Second by councillor Derek, moved by councillor Bruce, second by councillor Derek. Councillor Bruce.
I will have, well, extend it.
And we should tell you, we do. In recognition, this is in recognition of Warren being a healthy town and the people with a healthy lifestyle. Council will be standing while dealing with item 2 of the general manager's report. Councillor, you perhaps got most of that out.
No, I'm happy to move that and you've answered my question.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions in relation to all those meetings that have been held?
Yeah, I just wondering,
Sorry.
the Roads and Transport Directorate Bridge Working Road Safety Panel meeting, what that all means.
Mr. Mayor, I'm one of the IPWA board directors who's on the Roads and Transport Directorate Management Committee, and that's a subcommittee of that management committee.
Oh.
So and Rowley's on a couple of them as well, but I'm on the main committee plus those subcommittees.
So do you talk roads and bridges?
Very exciting stuff, Mr. Mayor. Very important. Any chance that Rowley and I can get funds for Warren Shire, we will do it.
Okay, got to be there to know.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Walker. Any further comments, questions? Councillor Surgery, sorry. Apologies.
You're right. Just a query. In the original list of the meetings that we held for the whole year, we had a bit of a query on the Outback Arts ones because we had a bit of a problem with getting a quorum. Just letting you know that we did actually end up having our face-to-face meeting on the 29th of November, and we then had a second meeting on the 2nd of December via Zoom. Just a quick little thing, the main thing that's come out of it is Create New South Wales has now taken the role that Regional Arts New South Wales used to have, so the money's coming from them. And we've been, for the next 3 years, we've had an increase of about 40,000 per year, which is going to allow us to be able to fund getting in contracted people to run various programs around the thing. Around the region. The other thing is we've got a 3-month information booklet of all the things that have happened up to the end of December, happened and planned. So I'll get a copy of that off to the council for the business papers. Apart from that, everything is going really well. We've just traded in our old trailer that we used to use for taking the artworks around the area. And believe it or not, we've actually purchased a horse float, which is going to be transferred into like a mini pop-up place where they can actually run events from the horse that they're able to carry with them. Because the trailer we've got to bend down to get into it. It's well past its use by date. But we've got a big brand with a big thing on it. We only paid 4,000 and we got 3,000 when we sold it. So we've got enough money to be able to do what we need to do for the horse float and then all what we have.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Very good. The comment I alluded to in terms of NR, the fellow we spoke to after the last council meeting was Luke Duncan, which is the first fellow meeting that was noted straight after our last council meeting. And we invited him to come and speak and explain things to landholders, and so the compliance is good, and hopefully we will take that opportunity up. Anything further on the excuse me, the committee meetings that have been held and the forthcoming committee meetings? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Please be seated. Moving on to item 3, the management report. First of those is the works progress report regarding the next of those is the works progress report regarding infrastructure projects. Someone happy to move those? That update. Councillor Beach, did you move that? No, you did. So Councillor Beach, second, and Councillor Beach. Councillor Beach.
I just happy to move the recommendation.
there's certainly a lot in progress at the minute, and it's going to continue to be a lot in progress as we work our way through those. It's interesting to see the whole list and to realise how much is actually going on. Anything further regarding the work progress report?
So the cricket pitch at Victoria Oval, that'll stay until at this stage.
We're working on that next year's season has been played, and that is right, and we're doing something about. The Sports Facilities Committee has to consider something in the future, something about removing the hard pitch ready for the rugby season.
It's a cost to maintain, isn't it?
The cricket league, maintaining two is probably untenable.
And I mean, that's the idea, is we're wanting to make sure it's suitable for rugby league and rugby and cricket to there.
Yeah. So yes, it remains in the domain of the Sporting Facilities Committee, just how that might occur sensibly, timing wise, and what happens to that actual turf wicket. Probably not. The technical problem has been dealt with at our Sporting Facilities Committee meeting here as well. Those who thought they might be able to move it couldn't guarantee that it would actually take. The initial plan was to actually pick that pitch up from Victoria, and move it to Carter. And those who know about these things came and had a look and said that we can't guarantee that will occur, that it actually give you a satisfactory result. And that's hence a new pitch was.
And so would have meant at least 2 seasons of no cricket.
Yeah.
So the overarching concept is that then we have a ground in Victoria that can cater for higher level games in terms of rugby union. There's no cricket pitch in the middle, which frightens a number of people, and the other side of it is the cricketers have got a designated oval where the grass can be cut at the rugby level. They can actually score some runs instead of having to hit sixes or singles. And I think it's really elevating both sports to a higher standard, which is really what we're after. The cricketers can then have some representative games, hopefully over Carter and representative games at Victoria. I think it's a good result, but I mean, like all those things, there's a degree of angst in the process, and then when it's all said and done, it ends up, it does end up being a good result for everyone in my results.
Mr. Mayor, fairly valuable contribution to something out the front. In detail of this report, I think it's a pretty good investment in helping some help towards the Chamber of Commerce's retreat. We'll say Chamber of Commerce / Warren-Shire Council retreat, which hopefully will be there for at least 5 years and probably even longer as a pretty good bit of asset.
Yep. And thanks to Councillor Taylor for arranging the transport of the Secretary. Very much appreciated. And the Chamber of Commerce actually saying that maybe there's something with on them they contributed a reason no money from the project as well. So good result. Anything further on item 3, the infrastructure projects before the General Manager? Councillor Irving, yes.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just like to encourage the Showground Racecourse Committee with the ongoing engagement with the user groups. I know it's a challenge at times, but I think it's really important because, if you look at change management, communication is key to effective change management. Because we've had a lot of rapid change in our community, because of all the amazing projects, we do need to keep the communication meaningful. Encouraging in that. Thank you.
I concur, Councillor Irving. The issue sometimes is that it can be communicated at the level, council level, it just doesn't get from the representatives of various organisations back to their organisation. I think that's, in my view, a part of the dilemma. Councillor,
Setting up a structure with a big group like that is hard to battle, and I think we've tried to do that. I think that's something towards the end, and I think there was realisation that there's the process followed. It does well.
It was a question. It clarified.
Yes, I think it's.
You get re-elected.
thank you, Councillor Bruce. Yes, you've got some work to do in the next, we hope, on the running. Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the General Manager's report, item 3, the infrastructure project? No. Nothing further? With that, all those in favour? Yes. Carried. Moving on to item 4, the end of term report. Someone happy to move that? So, Councillor Surdy, thank you, Councillor Surdy. Second, Councillor Higgins. Councillor Surdy.
It's good to see the, when you go through the list of all the various things that have been happening, where there's not that many orange ones in there, they're mostly green, and I'm pleased to say I've gone through it a couple of times and I can't see any red ones, so it's nice to see things are progressing the way they should be. So well done.
Yes, there's constant evolution of those things, but 5 years of things in its term of council in this regard have improved quite considerably. So it's a matter of continuing on with that. Any further on the report? Sorry, Councillor Irving, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank the General Manager. I think that the amber or yellow circles are accurate reflection. I think that some of them have changed from before, where they were green, it's now amber, and I think that's important to be realistic, and because in a lot of things we aren't quite there yet, but that doesn't necessarily matter as long as they're done properly and following due process. So yeah, thank you, General Manager. And I guess one of my concerns was just engaging with those groups in the community that are often on the, are marginalised, that we continue to make an effort in those areas, even though, you know, in terms of Aboriginal community and the youth, that, yeah, just continue to persevere, engage as much as possible, because it goes a long way. Yeah, and yeah, thank you, General Manager.
Thank you, Councillor Irving. Any further comments, questions regarding the end of term 2016-2021 report? Being nothing further, all those in favour? Yes, carried. Moving on to item 5 of the General Manager's report, that's an expression of interest for the 3 vacant positions on the Public Arts Committee. Councillor Surdy, thank you very much. Move, Councillor Surdy, second. Councillor Derrick. Councillor Surdy.
Yes, it was good to see that we eventually ended up getting some expressions of interest from interested community members, and the 3 that have put their hands up, I believe, will well and truly contribute to the makeup of the committee. The 3 people concerned, as you see on the list, are Penny Houston, Peter McKay, and Jodie Edmond. So both Peter and Jodie are from the Aboriginal community, so that gives us a bit more. We've struggled to get people in that from that particular genre. So now we've got them, so there'll be some good feedback, I think, with what's happening in the community. They did come to the meeting that we had for the Public Arts Committee on the day that we went through the lists. I did tell them that they weren't allowed to make any comments because they hadn't been adopted yet, but they're, well, I did invite them to still, you know, we couldn't record them, but please be part of the committee, and they did. They put in some information, which was happy to say. So, thank you.
And so those 3 people have accepted, they've been nominated, they've accepted those nominations in this council now with endorsed the recommendation. Yep. Okay, thank you. there's anything further before we put that recommendation that those 3 people be invited to join the Public Arts Committee? Nothing further, put that, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to item 6, the annual report 2020-2021. Someone happy to move that? Councillor Surley, second. Councillor Bruce, Councillor Surley.
Yeah, it was a good report to read, to see all the things that we've done over the year, and well done to everybody involved. It's a good progress to get it all put together and make sense out of it. Which wasn't too long, it's nice to see. So yeah, congratulations to all involved in getting that together. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further on the annual report? Item 6 is the general manager's report.
Mayor. Done by Gary.
Okay.
And in the sense of everyone put in, but Gary had the organisers. But so I think previously there have been some costs where it's been outside the organisation. Is that correct? Last year, and I think it's better done. So that's as professional as you would hope and you'd expect. And lots of good photos. That's why we're always constantly taking photos to make sure that we actually have something that shows the community.
Yeah, concur. I think that was a good report. I think that. Thank you, Jody, for putting all that together. I think it does reflect what occurred during the last 12 months of council in a good way. With those photographs, adds something to it as well. Sort of getting a good visual makes you really think, wow, that looks pretty good. That swimming pool, skate park, excellent. Show yourself. Any further on item 6, the annual report 2020-2021? And further, we'll put that all in favour. Yes, carried. Moving on to item 7, general manager's report with the proposed sale of some land at Warren Airport to Macquarie Valley Ag Services.
Just fix up the stone line up to 3,170 square metres.
Okay. Of. So, Councillor Williamson, you have to move that. Second, and Councillor Taylor. Councillor Williamson.
Oh, look, this is a good result for Orange State Council and Macquarie Valley Ag Services. It just tidies up the airport land they already use, and they can deal directly with the EPA. Good result.
It does make it much tidier in terms of who's responsible.
It makes it easy for where the EPA sort of Orange State Council sort of is takes the land away from us and lets the responsibility go instead of us being in the water. So that's a good result for Orange State Council.
Question to the Magnifying Administration. That fund, when it comes in to settle on that land, where does that, which part of our budget does that fit into? Does that go into?
Through Mr. Mayor, it won't come, I won't put it into an operational budget, I'll put it into, I'll show it to transfer the restricted funds or operational land reserve. It's similar to the sale of the hand blocks and things like that.
That will go back to.
And going back to state sales, they all go back that.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding item 7, the general manager's report? Proposed sale of the land at the airport using Macquarie Valley Ag Services. Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to the item, the reports of the Division of Finance Administration. Item 1 of those is the reconciliation certificate. If someone can move that. Councillor Williamson. Second. Councillor Jarrett. Thank you, Councillor Jarrett. Councillor Williamson.
It's interesting, the last 5 years, our interest rates come drastically down in the last 5 years. The other positive thing, we've got about the same amount of money in there. Very positive.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the Division Major Finance Administration's report, reconciliations committee? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Yes, carried. Moving on to item 2, Division Major Finance Administration report, statement of rates and annual charges. Someone having to move that, Councillor Certainty. Second, Councillor Higgins, Councillor Certainty.
Yeah, it's good to see the interest rate collection percentages still up there, which is good. This time, the troubles that we had, war and drought, the drought or flood and God knows what else might be thrown at us. Thank you.
That would have been managing fund administration, that would increase a little bit given that was 18th of November date. By 30th of November, up a little more or not?
I'm sure it's there, would have, I haven't, don't know for sure, but it certainly would have been received a little bit more money. Being that it's from a few, but I think but I haven't looked since the 30th.
Thank you. Anything further on the statement of rates and annual charges? Nothing further, put that, all those in favour? Yes. Carried. Moving on to the third item. Works progress report, Councillor Derrick would noted an interest in that matter. Have to move item 3 to be, thank you, Councillor Williamson. Second, Councillor Bruce, Councillor Williamson.
I just asked the manager of finance, how are we going with the extra fit outs and everything? We're still waiting on materials to be able to do that?
Through engineering, still waiting on A1 glass. I must admit I haven't been in contact with our building. It probably hasn't been pushing it either with them. We started putting up the sign, got the signs on the top of the building and done a bit of frosting onto the windows, both here and the other building. So we really can't go much further with the installation of the carpet in that area until we actually get the interview room up. So we've sort of got that in place until the A1 glass come in to do that. And we can probably finish it all off and see where we are and see whether or not we can move the tea room and put the disabled toilet in the old inside of the building. We are waiting on an account from A1 glass for all the windows on that side, on the old side of the building. That's going to determine a lot as to how far we can go. We can't get the account out of them for that, so catch 22. In that expended 77 is that big, really big window as well. I don't know how much of that, how much is actually going to be the window.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Bring this near the boat. It's amazing when you have that bit extra room, how big that room is.
Yes.
And just even in the boat selection, going in there, it's good to have that room on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a great asset for
Yeah,
what
the frosting on the bottom of the windows, it makes it more private in there as well.
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's been more planned tonight. Just had to check some of the front office staff do this, so pleased with our front counter with and Service New South Wales desk and the way it all works, and just so it's appreciative of having some input in the design that they feel really comfortable working there. And I think it does present a very professional outlook to people when they walk in. It says, these people know what they're doing, they're professional, and our staff appreciate it at the same time. So, look about the whole results being, I reckon, fantastic. Is there anything further on the works progress report of the on through the Managed Finance Administration's report? Oh, yes, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for the Manager of Finance Administration, I've had people report that we need to do something to do with access for people with disability Is that true in this part of the building? Are we in breach of any legislation in terms of that? Access for people with disability? Because that's what's been...
Really, Mr Mayor, that might be something maybe to say to our Manager of Health and Development, who's more into that. I didn't believe that we've got any issues with access. We've got all the regs and things. And the door that comes into the foyer area, into the new area we're going in, that's well in excess of width. That's what we made sure that was. So I'm not sure unless Anne's come up with issues.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. No, as far as I'm aware, that the building, the community room does comply with the Building Code of Australia for disability access.
And the administration building. And the administration building.
In front entrance. And
Yes.
Everything, the whole lot, yeah. I think the former general manager, Glenn Wilcox, was at pains because we modified this ramp out here to make it compliant, and then we were at pains to make all the doorways wheelchair accessible, etc. So my belief would be yours that everything was done to the standard required to enable disabled access. Councillor Sergi.
I'm just wondering in relation to the issue that may be coming up, if it might be more to do with the height of the counter where, you know, the RTA people, because if you're in a wheelchair or whatever, you can't see over the counter. I'm just wondering if that may be what the concern might be coming through. If that won't be the accesses and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
If there's any ways around that, I'm sure the girls would probably be able to.
I believe it's not an insurmountable problem. If that is the problem, but the first thing is to find out if that is the problem. That's correct. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, maybe Manager of Health and Development, you just might ask the front office staff if there's been an issue and just work through it.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything further on 3, the Works in Progress report for the Division Manager of Finance Administration? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to item 4, the librarian's report. Oh, sorry, we'll just have to wait for Councillor Derrick to come back in. That's out, yes. Got the lots of Christmas presents and Thank you. We move on to item 4, the librarian's report regarding the operation of the library, moved by Councillor Sergi and Councillor Taylor. Councillor Sergi.
Yeah, it's all in pretty much in there, and they've continued to still provide the much needed services to the Warren community. With COVID people and what have you, they've been managing to get around that in various ways by either posting out the books or there's a lot of people have made good use of the Borrow Box, which is the online, you can either get e-books or audio books. I've looked into those it's really good. Stock deliveries, they're looking forward to when the suppliers can start coming back out to the various branches again. But they're still making sure that the stock is well and truly what people in the community want. They're still outreaching to the community homes and whatever. They've put together an adult activity package, which gives various activities to people to be able to keep active with their brains and whatever else. The same thing to do with, they've done outreach to the preschools, public libraries of the preschoolers. The Tower has public libraries, household deliveries, online story time, which has become very popular. They've done a fair number of workshops where they possibly can. One of the other ones, which I'll go to myself, I find very interesting, is the the family history workshops. They're always very good, show you how you get on with whatever information you want. She's applied for a grant through the Public Libraries Infrastructure Grant to do what they call an open air library. If you're looking at the library from the roadside, it's that area there where it's a bit grassy, what have you. The plans that are put together, they look very attractive and make it very user-friendly for the public. That will come as part of our public arts committee, because the things that she's putting in there would include some murals and stuff on the walls in relation to, but they would be mainly murals that are purely related to the public library systems. They won't be anything else. But they'll still come in and make recommendations from us. So that's all up in the air, and so we'll find out whether the grants are successful or not. They've got listed the various upcoming events for workshops and things over the break, including the school holidays. They've put in the information about future staff training. It's pretty much all there. I don't think she's missed anything. They're still quite very active in what they're doing down there. So well done to them, I believe.
Thank you, Councillor Sergi. Any further comments, questions? We can the librarian report, Councillor Irving.
Yeah, I just want to say what a pleasure it's been to represent Warren Shire Library at Public Library Association meetings, North Western Library when I have been able to, and to work with Councillor Sergi in this space. So yeah, and I also want to commend our library team. Yeah, they do work well together, and they do a lot of things, and they're either thinking of always a new area to move into. So yeah, Pam does a great job. Thank you.
Councillor Taylor.
Just a comment, Librarian Pam Kelly attended our town planning committee meeting and did present the grant application photos and so forth, but to the town improvement committee, and I think it's important they do get it up. This will all tie in with the whole of our town improvement, so yeah, it has to match up. But if anyone wants to look at it, it's pretty impressive. Yeah, so obviously includes pavers out the front, so those pavers have to be consistent throughout the town. I think everything that does.
Is that in your town improvement committee minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Part of the report, so you have it. And committee on the that's exactly it, Councillor Taylor. It needs to be integrated and consistent, and if we do that, it is planned, it looks planned, and the achievement result will be what we want.
Try and commend if she gets it up. Brilliant.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any further on item 4 of the Regional Bank Finance Administration report, the librarian's report? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to item 5, the sale of the land in Gunning Bar Estate. The recommendation is there. Someone happy to move that recommendation? Councillor Beach.
Yep, I'm just happy to move that.
Seconded, Councillor Wilson. Councillor Beach.
No, I'm just happy to move that as recommended.
Councillor Derrick. Sorry, Councillor Derrick, you have a question?
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to say I agree with the recommendation as well, but yes, hopefully there is room for some negotiation from this point, and that this isn't the end of it, because it would certainly be good to see that area developed, and particularly purposeful growth. So I just hope it's not a closing of the door, that there's still room for a bit of discussion.
I think the way that the reply is put will say that Councillor Kane, in a general sense, is unable, as a recommendation of Council, unable to accept that offer, but is willing to enter some negotiation. It's beneficial to both parties. Now, or something along those lines. And I hope that we might get to some sort of result as you were indicating when it comes to the dirt. Any further comments, questions regarding item 5, Division Manager of Finance Administration report? Yes.
Mr. Mayor, just like to concur with Councillor Derek on that because it sounds like it's a good business opportunity, a good thing for Warren, except, yeah, just further negotiations needed.
Thank you. Is there anything further on item 5 before we put that? Being nothing further, we'll put item 5, the Division Manager of Finance Administration report. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to reports of the Division Manager of Engineering Services. The first of those, item 1, is the work progress report pertaining to roads. Is someone happy to move that? Councillor Bruce, second. Councillor Taylor, Councillor Bruce.
Yeah, happy to move the recommendation, but I'm sure that things might have changed a little bit with the situation with progress and and works to be done. So yeah, but I'm happy to move this recommendation.
Yeah. To the European General Manager of Engineering Services, we have indicated that the sealing had gone ahead with the Old Line Road. And construction of the Elsinore Road will be off for some time, I guess.
I believe so, until the 2 metres of water or so that's supposed to be going across there disappears. We'll be, we won't be doing any more construction works on site until then.
Yeah. So, where do you think the crew that's out there will go?
Collar training.
Collar training, you want collar training? Is it?
It's it was actually kind of they were trying to attempt to try to get about 2 weeks worth of work in. Elmsgrove is supposed to be very, very close too.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be about 2 weeks of work. It's just initial preparations and then mid-January onwards start again for college training.
Yeah.
It's about $801,000 to go on the college training road.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions regarding the works progress report for roads? If nothing further, put that all those in favour. Against? Carried. Moving on to item 2, the Division Manager of Engineering Service report, Account Services. Anyone have to move that report?
Recommendation.
Councillor Taylor, Councillor Williamson, Councillor Taylor. Moving the recommendation. Any comments, questions regarding the Town Services report? What's progress? Having further, we'll put that all those in favour. Against? Carried. Moving on to item 3, the West Progress report, the fleet workshop. So having heard that, Councillor Williamson, thank you. Secondly, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Williamson.
I just said to Councillor Bill Rowe, you'd be proud of that workshop being used the way it is. Okay. For the workshop.
Is there, to Division Manager Engineering Service, is there a problem with that, the new system in and out a couple of times?
Where the actual details of what's going on at the moment. Take it on notice and come back.
So, you know, no, it just seemed
I saw one in the workshop with no one.
I was an old one. It wasn't.
We've got a couple of one cat and one new one.
Yeah, there was a reference to something that wasn't supplied properly or something or other along those lines.
It's got two things. There's a roof that eventually will be going on because it was aftermarket anyway. A roof to try to reduce the temperature inversion. Well, I think it did a very good big glass area.
Yep.
And the second one is some adjustment to be very similar to our existing one for an air intake.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Any Any further comments, questions regarding the fleet workshop? Nothing further, we'll put that all those in favour. Yes, carried. Moving on to item 4 of the report of the Management Service, use of Oxley Park Water Reservoir for the installation of some telecommunications facilities. Moved by Councillor Survey, seconded by Councillor Taylor. Councillor Survey.
I did check earlier on with the general manager just to confirm that the proposal that Field Solutions are making for the Warren area is not, it's in addition to what they're actually doing with the Field Solutions at Nevertar. So just for those who may be a bit worried that it's one or the other, it's actually moving both. So good to confirm that. Thank you. I'll move on recommendation.
So this is really to do, Councillor Survey, broadband coverage.
Yeah.
And it won't be really telecommunications, it's just, it is broadband. So we're still having the difficulties with ongoing with mobile coverage and well, all over the Shire, and it's all said and done, but this addresses the broadband issue potentially. And this is the same group who've been very successful up in the Moree area, is it not? Putting a whole plan together that worked pretty well from what I understand. Is that French Finance Strategy, is it the same group? Yeah, this is. Yeah, so they have to give us some runs on the board, which gives us some faith when we're talking about this recommendation. That's what I'm going with. Councillor Taylor.
Like this theme is to us or them?
A form of them providing advice of what they were paying elsewhere and us determining that $20 per week plus GST was reasonable compared to some where they were paying $0 per year to huge amounts per month.
Sounds cheap to me, that's all.
I guess it's open for negotiation in the future time, Councillor Taylor, but I think the first thing is actually get them up and running, and then we can go from there with that.
I think as long as we can improve broadband coverage, I think that's the goal.
So a step in the right direction. Thank you, Councillor Bruce.
Mr. Mayor, just to try to reach out to council exactly what is going on there. That in there with our electronic box down in the.
Gentlemen, in terms of access to that facility and the equipment, how does access work? How does access work?
But the only other item that's in that little building in place of the reservoir, which is the for the traditional radio configuration, which is using the same mast on top of the reservoir. And so we'll just do a double lock there with that they'll have access to.
And do they do not need to actually access the office now?
On occasions they will, but they'll have to contact us or arrange that access. They won't have unfettered access to the top of the reservoir.
Question I was asking. I was asking, I didn't. Is there anything further on item 4 of the Division Manager Engineering report? Turning to the communications tower. Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour, against, carried. Moving on to the reports of the Manager Health and Development. First of those is the development application approval, and someone happy to move those. Councillor Bruce, Councillor Williamson, Councillor Bruce.
It's just leaving the recommendation, thank you.
Anything further before we put that? Bring nothing further, put that all over. Oh, sorry, Councillor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just I know Councillor Juice asked this earlier, but just on the solar farm, is there a time frame? Maybe Manager of Health and Development could answer the question. timeframe for the establishment of a solar farm?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the timeline is due to their lack of providing required information for the assessment of the application. So they delayed in providing traffic information and the like when requested. So that's why that timeline is what it is.
It's a deferred consent. And I would suggest, you would hope that they will start something within 12 months of finalising it.
I think that was your question, when they were starting as opposed to required for the long.
Yes.
So Marianne, if everything's finalised, after that they work out with Transport for New South Wales what works that they're supposed to do, etc. Within 12 months they would have started. That was the real question. You're guessing that with the conversations you've had?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you for that. Any further questions, comments regarding item 1 of the Division Manager Health and Development's report, development applications? Nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to item 2, reports with Manager Health and Development, the Works Progress Report. Councillor Irving has noted an interest and is leaving the room. Someone have to move item 2 of the Division Manager Health and Development's report. Councillor Williamson, second. Councillor Beach. Councillor Williamson.
Just move the recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's quite a comprehensive list of the projects that are in place and the grant applications that have and are being made in terms of the betterment of our community. And good to see them noted there, and some of them are coming to fruition, so that's always positive. Any comments, questions regarding item 2? Being nothing further, we'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We'll just wait for a second for Councillor Redding to come back into the meeting. Moving through the agenda, item 7, there are no notices of motion or questions without notice, with notice, sorry, apologies. Item 8, there are no matters of urgency, I believe, unless there's something happened in the last hour with regard to flooding. Adora Road. Yep, it's getting wet. There are no confidential matters. I note we conclude this meeting, and this is the last meeting of this term of council. The next meeting of council will be the 11th of January, when the new council is elected. The declaration of polls, though, is not until about the 21st of December. So there will be a period where, until a new council is elected and then has its first meeting, that will be the general manager will be assuming responsibility for council's, the whole of council's operations. Conclusion, thank you. Thank you for all of your work. We've covered that earlier in my mayoral minute, but we look forward now to opening this building and the mural and the end of this term of council function. Thank you all.